Hi everyone, and first of all, I would like to welcome everybody to these online certification days of ISKI. My name is Anke Franse, and I'm your host for this session. Thank you for registering for this session. Improve your quality engineering skills with TMAP with our expert Rik Marselis, who I will introduce in a minute. Because this gives me the opportunity to report with some pride some figures about ISKI. Because what do we do? Amongst other things, ISKI is a leading global player in the field of examination for professional certificates. We certify 30,000 professionals annually, and we do so in more than 110 countries. We have ISKI partners all over the world with 380 accredited training providers. ISKI has worldwide more than 625 exam supervisors. And to provide an even more personalized service, ISKI offers its services in more than 10 languages. Taking an exam remains difficult every time, and believe me, for everyone. And that is why we try to accommodate our customers as much as possible and make them as comfortable as possible. At ISKI, you can choose from 4 exam options. First of all, a paper exam, for example, directly following your classroom training. Secondly, you can take an online exam at the test center, for example, for Pearson VUE, a center in your neighborhood. The third option is a SMEC exam, taken an online exam together in a group. And finally, a flex exam, anywhere, anytime, so in a place and in a time when it suits you best. For now, I would like to introduce Rik Marselis, who is our speaking regarding improve your quality engineering skills with TMAP. Rik Marselis is principal quality consultant at Sogeti in the Netherlands, and he is a well-appreciated presenter, trainer, author, consultant, and coach who supported many organizations and people in improving their quality engineering practice by providing useful tools and checklists, practical support, and having in-depth discussions. Rik is an accredited trainer for TMAP, ISTQB, and TPI certification training courses, but also he has created and delivered many bespoke workshops and training courses. Rik is fellow at Sogeti's R&D network, Sogeti Labs. The R&D activities results in presentations, books, white papers, articles, podcasts, and blogs about IT in general and quality engineering in particular. On March 17, his latest book, Quality for DevOps Teams, was presented. Well, that was quite an introduction, Rik. How do you feel about it? You feel the pressure?
Thank you very much, Anke. Well, indeed, it's a very good introduction. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I give you your slides. I will add them at this stream. And then the next half hour is yours.
Thank you, Anke. Well,
Okay, go ahead.
Welcome, everybody. And let's have a look. In today's IT world, what is it that people are striving for? Well, business people, they demand to deliver business value. They don't ask for IT systems anymore because IT is just a given. It should be there. So they ask for business value and they ask to deliver quality at speed. And to be able to do that, teams get challenges. Quality engineering should be everybody's responsibility, and QA and testing should be integrated in both the process and in the people involved. And to be able to deliver quality at speed, the focus is on having high-performing cross-functional teams. I'll come back to that in a minute. And these teams, they do not only create new things or change them, but also make sure it stays in operation. So they build it and run it. And to actually achieve quality at speed, the idea is to automate everything, but automation is not a goal in itself. So automate things as long as they are useful. As Anke said, we launched a new book, the book Quality for DevOps Teams. This book actually in some time ago. And when we created this book, we started with creating the so-called voice model. And the voice model takes the business delivery as a starting point, as you can see here. And within business delivery, you want to deliver business value. So it all starts with business value. And then to deliver this business value, we need IT. So within the scope of IT delivery, you need to define objectives. So what is it that we are striving for? And then to know whether we are getting towards these objectives, you need to measure. And you need to measure indicators. And measuring these indicators is mostly testing. And by measuring these indicators, we get information. And this information supports confidence so that the stakeholders will have confidence that the pursued business value that was defined in the beginning will be achievable. And if everybody has enough confidence, then the decision is taken to take this new or changed IT system live, and then the users can experience the real value. And hence, we have the voice model, voice being the first letters of value, objectives, indicators, confidence, and experience. And when experiencing this new value, then we will see the value improvement loop. That means that people get new ideas about additional value that could be added. So this is this value improvement loop. And when you work in a DevOps way, like we will see in a minute, then we will, I get distracted by all these messages of people saying hello. So this value improvement loop is, when you work in a DevOps way, this value improvement loop is gone through maybe multiple times per day. Whereas if you follow the Scrum framework, you may have sprints of like a week or mostly 2 weeks, and then you would have a value improvement loop of 2 weeks. And in the traditional IT delivery, it may be a month or even longer. Now, these indicators, there are several of them. In our book, we described, I think it's 1.5 pages of indicators, but there are 4 groups of these indicators. And the business value related indicators are about, do we actually deliver the value that our customers want? IT delivery related indicators are related to, do we deliver the IT system in a way that is supporting our business value? The team-related indicators are about, do we have the right people in the team? Are they happy in the team? And problem-related indicators are related to what things may be wrong in the IT system, but especially about how are we capable of fixing problems if they occur. Like, for example, here, the mean time to fix. Keep in mind that although there are very many possible indicators, in reality, you should only have a few indicators, like a handful of indicators, because that really helps you and it prevents you from getting just busy with measuring all sorts of things and not really using it to get confidence in your business value. Now, this confidence is built up from information on quality and the related risks. Now, quality relates obviously to the IT system, the product that we're delivering, but also the quality in the process, the IT delivery process, and quality of the people. And together we talk about quality engineering, taking responsibility for quality as a team. Quality should be built in. Quality is not something you can add at the end. So it's built into the product, but also into the process and into the people, rather than performing testing as an activity at the end. DevOps. DevOps is the way of IT delivery that is currently adopted by more and more organizations. And here we show the DevOps infinity loop with the fundamental DevOps activities. And I will come back to this infinity loop and the fundamental activities in a minute. What's happening here? I can't move my mouse outside of my window. Well, sorry. The DevOps, as you may know, is described by many people. One of the books known for DevOps is the so-called DevOps Handbook. A number of DevOps principles are shown, and these DevOps principles are closely related to the Agile Manifesto principles. By the way, the DevOps Handbook was written by a number of people. Amongst one is Patrick Debois. And Patrick Debois is the one who actually invented the word DevOps, gluing development and operations together. And also, we are very proud that Patrick Debois wrote the foreword in our own book. DevOps has many definitions. We used input from various sources to create this definition, which I'm not going to read out loud in full. But the main thing is DevOps is a cross-functional systems engineering culture. So DevOps is a culture based on the agile mindset and supported by, for example, a Scrum framework. And within DevOps, as I said, we have these fundamental activities, and we have monitor at the start, so keeping an eye out of what's happening. And if there's a reason to change something, then we have the plan activity, where not only a plan is made, but for example, also requirements are defined or user stories. We have the code activity where software is being created, but also other things, for example, infrastructure as code. We have the integrate activity where we integrate the changes with the full system. Then we have the deploy activity, where the system is deployed to the live environment. And we have the operate activity where the system is kept up and running. Now, some people say to us, hey, but there is no testing in these fundamental activities. And that's true, because testing is, and quality engineering as a whole should be part of all the things that we are doing. So testing is not a fundamental DevOps activity in our perspective. And we were talking about cross-functional teams. That means we have teams where people take their various roles in the team, and everybody in the team can pick up the tasks because the team together takes responsibility for quality. And that means that anyone in the team is allowed to pick up any task they feel they are capable for. Of course, the team together must take responsibility for quality. So it's always wise and often even forced within the team that at least one other team member has a look if somebody creates or changes something. Think, for example, of pull requests, something I probably will come to later. In high-performance IT delivery, everybody works together, and all the competences and specialisms of the people together form the team that does everything. And we talk about roles and not about functions. Also, this means that nobody in the team has the monopoly on specific tasks. And that distinguishes a cross-functional team from a multidisciplinary team. Because in a multidisciplinary team, there are multiple people in the team, but all on their own island. And if a person with a special function is not available, it may happen that these tasks are not executed as long as the person isn't there. Whereas in a cross-functional team, people work together and make sure that all tasks are performed. And hence the name Quality for DevOps Teams. Well, what is this new TMAP book about? It's about quality engineering, and we distinguish 3 groups of IT delivery models. We have the sequential IT delivery models, which are traditional. We have the high-performance IT delivery, which is the focus of today's IT. And we have hybrid IT delivery, which is a mix of sequential and high performance. And one that you often see today is the scaled agile framework, which is visualized on the far right. Now, you may wonder which quality engineering activities are relevant here. Well, there are many, many different quality engineering activities. We came up with over 50 activities, and it doesn't matter much per model what activities are relevant. So therefore, we generated a generic set of quality engineering activities, and we combined these activities in 20 so-called topics. So these topics are groups of quality engineering activities that are basically relevant in any IT delivery model. And of course, in a minute, I'll show you how we related that to the DevOps model. We created 2 groups of these topics. Here you see all the topics. We have 20 topics, and one group is the organizing topics. It is about orchestration, arranging, planning, preparing, controlling, everything that's done. And the organizing topics typically are with a scope of multiple teams, because often in larger organization, you have multiple teams working together on one business process. So some of the things you need to arrange across the teams. Take, for example, the first organizing topics, which is quality and test policy. You wouldn't want each individual team to create their own policy, of course. Then we have the performing topics, and they are related to the operational QA and testing activities. So these things that need to be done within a team for a specific release or a specific delivery. And recently somebody came up to me and said, oh, I get it. Organizing is test management and performing is test engineering. Well, I'm sorry. No, that's not actually the distinction. Because take, for example, quality risk analysis and test strategy. In a traditional setup, quality risk analysis and test strategy is a typical test management task. But It is a performing topic because it is related to the operational activities within the team. So the distinction in organizing and performing is a specific distinction that we have brought into TMAP with this new development. It's not totally black and white because, for example, in the organizing topics, you see estimating and planning. Well, you would like to have some similarity in estimating and planning over the teams, but obviously one team must do estimating and planning within the scope of the activities they are performing, of course. Then somebody asked us, how do you relate these topics to the fundamental DevOps activities? For example, does, let's say, quality and test policy relate to the plan activity? Well, it's not as simple as that, because all of these topics are relevant when you do IT delivery, and most of these topics are relevant. Now, I must actually say all of these topics are relevant to multiple fundamental DevOps activities. So that's why we put the fundamental DevOps activities in the center, and we put the organizing topics and the performing topics around it, so that you can see that each and every topic is relevant and needs to be thought about, but some topics you think about it once or twice a year, like, for example, quality and test policy, and other topics may be day-to-day business, like, for example, test execution. A little bit on quality engineering and testing. Quality engineering, it's a relatively new term, and it is about taking responsibility as a team to deliver IT systems with the right quality at the right moment to the business people and their customers. And within quality engineering, we have the testing profession. And testing consists of verification, validation, and exploration activities. So these three together give you all information you need about quality and the related risks. And together, this information about quality and risks supports the confidence that the pursued business value can be delivered. And that goes back to the indicators, measuring these indicators that we saw in the voice model. So that's how quality engineering and testing relate to each other and to the voice model. In TMAP, we describe a great number of quality measures. And here you see some examples, and I will describe a few examples of quality measures. And I already explained about the cross-functional team, and quality measures are there for each of the roles within the cross-functional team. So what I'll do is I'll give you one example, because time is limited. I'll give you one example per role of some quality measures. And let's start with the business analyst. The business analyst role in the team is responsible for getting the requirements or the user stories right, and therefore we use the specification and example approach. And specification and example, you may think, hey, I know specification by example. Well, that's true. The famous book of Gojko Acic, for example. But specification by example is an approach within specification and example. And the main idea is that you use these approaches to get a common understanding of the user stories and features needed. And it is a test-first approach. So there is a specification and it is supported by examples. And these examples can be automated as tests. So we have automated tests first, and then we build the system that should finally pass all these tests. Also, these approaches support exploring ideas. So it helps in getting the ideas of multiple people working together. And doing that, you get a better understanding of these user stories and features to be delivered. Another quality measure is related to operations, and that is the quality measure of feature toggles. Now, feature toggles is also a relatively new phenomenon, which is used to put IT systems live. So what you do is you put a new version of the IT system live, but you don't enable the new feature yet. And then at a moment that the feature is needed, you can just use a release toggle to release the feature. And this way you make sure that the moment you put your new version of the IT system live is not the same moment that you actually need to release the feature. And that way you can take away the pressure from putting stuff in the live environment, because it doesn't need to be done at the moment that the feature needs to be released. So a feature toggle or a release toggle will help in easing the release process. And also it is some sort of a safety feature, because if at a certain point in time you notice a problem, you can put the release toggle off again, and then the new feature is gone again. Well, there are various different feature toggles available. At this moment, I don't have the time to go into the other possibilities. If you like to know more, have a look at our website, tmap.net, or in our book, of course. Then a topic for development, and a quality measure for development, which is unit testing. And in unit testing, often developers talk about code coverage, and they often pride themselves in having 100% code coverage, but actually 100% code coverage doesn't say very much, because there are various types of code coverage. And line coverage means that all lines of code have been covered, but in one line of code, a developer may make multiple statements, and if only one of the statements has been executed, then the line was covered. So line coverage is a very low coverage measure. Statement coverage would be better, than at least each and every statement has been executed. But take, for example, an if statement. If you execute only, if an if statement has only one part, so if a larger than 10, print OK, then if I test it with a being 50, then I have tested all statements, but I don't know what's happening if a is less than 10. So therefore, the best coverage to have at least is decision coverage, where every outcome of a decision has been tested. Then something for the whole team, which is the so-called 4 amigos approach. And the amigos approach means that the different roles in the team are represented when, for example, reviewing a product, for example, during a refinement session. And in the Agile community, 3 amigo sessions are very well known. Well, when we start working DevOps, we have development and operations in one team. So we would like to add the operations role in the 4 amigos session. So that's why we have this 4 amigos session, to review, for example, requirements documents or user stories, and get a common view on what is needed and how it can be achieved. From the testing perspective, obviously, we have testing, we have verification, validation, and exploration. And to make that work, we need test design techniques and approaches. And we have described the test design techniques in 4 groups, because there are some 25 to 30 test design techniques. but all of them fall in one of these groups. So there are process-related test design techniques like path testing. There's condition-based test design techniques like the decision table. There's data-oriented test design techniques like data combination test with classification trees. And there's appearance-oriented test design techniques like syntactic testing as an example. But what is also important is experience-based testing, because with coverage-based testing, we prepare very well all sorts of test cases. But as you probably know, using your experience and your common sense, you can add tests that reveal other aspects of an IT system and help you in another way to gain confidence that we will be able to achieve the business value. And in TMAP, we always say, make sure you combine experience-based and coverage-based testing, one way or the other. And with one way or the other, I mean, if you start with coverage-based testing, then be sure that how many test cases you have developed still add a little bit of experience-based testing, like, for example, exploratory testing. On the other hand, if you do exploratory testing as a basic approach, then if, for example, you encounter a boundary value, then use boundary value analysis as a test design technique to make your exploratory testing more valuable. In DevOps, everybody talks about needing a pipeline, a CI/CD pipeline with continuous integration in the build pipeline, continuous delivery or deployment in the release pipeline. And the build pipeline has a team focus. So that's where, for example, all these performing topics relate to, and it results in a team test stage where we do tests from a perspective of the team itself. Then it gets deployed to another environment, maybe, for example, an acceptance test environment where we do the business testing. And that doesn't mean that business people need to do testing, but it is testing from a business perspective. If all the tests pass, and ideally all tests are automated, although even in a CI/CD pipeline, you still have the opportunity to put some manual testing in. And then you can deploy to production. This may be fully automated, then you have continuous deployment, or there may still be some manual tasks. And very important in a pipeline is the continuous monitoring, because everywhere tests and checks are built in to make sure that if something goes wrong, then we go back and fix that. So only fully working and applications that we have confidence in will make it to the live environment. And doing all this makes that where in the old days the tester often was the messenger of bad news, now we, together with quality engineering, become the enabler of having an adequate quality level that delivers business value. And of course, I told you how the title of this presentation is how TMAP helps you with quality engineering. Well, for TMAP, we have a number of training courses. We have a one-day upgrade training course for people that already know TMAP, because TMAP exists for 25 years already. But for people that are not familiar with TMAP yet, we have the TMAP Quality for Cross-Functional Teams, a 3-day training course that includes an exam. And we have the TMAP High Performance Quality Engineering for Performing People, which relates to the performing topics, and the Organizing Built-in Quality at Scale for Organizing People, that relates to the organizing topics. Some people asked us, I already have a TMAP certificate. What is my common trajectory? Well, if you have a TMAP suite certificate based on the book Neil's Quest for Quality, the TMAP HD book, then you already know about Agile and the Agile mindset and how quality and testing relates to that. So then an upgrade training course would be sufficient, and you could further go in depth with high performance quality engineering if you're on the engineering side, or organizing, building quality and scale if you're more on the organizing side. If you have an older TMAP certificate based on the well-known TMAP Next book, then you didn't get so much of agile and modern ideas. So then it is very wise to do the Quality for Cross-Functional Teams training course first, take that certification, and then go in depth with the performing and the organizing topics. So TMAP is the body of knowledge for quality engineering. We have books, we have the website tmap.net, and we have a certification scheme together with ISKI. Thank you for your attention in this presentation. On this slide, you see my fellow authors of the book. And if you would like to stay up to date with TMAP developments, go to the LinkedIn group, which we run together with ISKI. And that brings me to the end of my presentation, and we have room for some questions. Anke, do we have any questions?
Well, we don't have any questions now, but as I explained before, I know there must be a lot of people who are starting dinner right now or want to join sports, and they come home, they have time, and they can email their questions, for example, to exams@iski.org. Rik, thank you very much. I now know why they call you a well-organized presenter. And sorry for interrupting the comments. They were so nice, but it wasn't meant to disturb you with them. I know now more about TMAP, and it makes me more sense. And the most particular thing I remember from you now is team. Together, everyone achieves more. And I think that's a topic of the presentation, besides all the other things, but together, everyone achieves more.
That's true. Yeah. Thank you very much for picking that up from the presentation.
Yeah, well, I did do more, but I don't want to do your presentation again. Okay, well, Rik, thank you very, very much. And of course, our viewers can still ask questions, like I told you, at exam@iski.org. If you want to check the complete program for this week, just go to certdays.iski.org. We are not even halfway this week, so do check if there are other sessions you would like to attend. So, certdays.iski.org. For now, thank you very much for your time, and we would like to welcome you in one of our next sessions. Thank you again, Rik, and goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.